Hello and welcome to the Hashtag Ad Students podcast. Unfortunately, Henry has work commitments this week, so it is just me and Billy.
Boo!
And maybe this week we have a subject that might be a little bit important to you. So if you listen to this podcast and you're not quite at university yet, you might be thinking about studying a degree with that to do with advertising or marketing. This might be the podcast for you. So obviously me and Billy are at the end of our university experience at the moment, or at least our undergraduate experience at the moment, as Billy's going on to do a master's.
Because I'm a nerd.
You're not a nerd, you have a beautiful mind, Billy. So anyway, yeah, so if you're thinking about it, why you should study advertising at university. So we're going to start off talking about sort of like our personal experiences with how we've started off sort of our university journey, I guess. Why we decided to study at Northampton. So Billy, do you want to go first?
Yes, this is my journey. So, for me, I actually completely opposed the idea of going to university up until the very last minute. I actually hated the education system and I just wanted to get a job and just be done with it.
See, that surprises me. That surprises me a lot because you're very academically inclined.
Yeah, so I don't really know what happened. I really hated school. I didn't enjoy. I mean, when we were doing GCSEs, I got fairly good grades. I got 13 GCSEs. I started to see, but I just hated studying and I hated being a student. But when it got to the A levels, I was starting in my mock exams. I was starting to get A's and stuff, and I was thinking, oh my god, that's strange.
I might be intelligent.
Yeah, literally, I was thinking, I'm doing quite good here. But I was still kind of opposed to the idea of going to university. I was like, oh, I can't deal with any more studying. But eventually I changed my mind. I thought, no, let's give it a try. If I don't like it, I'll leave. So started going to many open days up and down the country. Originally, I wanted to be a dentist. Then I wanted to go into creative writing. Then I thought, no, I'll be a historian. Let's do that. So I kind of had a look at it, many courses that were available, but I never really got a feel for them. I would go to the open days and it never really felt like I was treated like an individual. It was, oh, you're kind of a number, because a lot of the places that I'd gone to were the ones that were higher up in the league tables. So we would have open days, but there'd be in massive lecture halls of like hundreds of prospective students, and it never really felt personal to me. And then I decided to book an open day at the University of Northampton for history. But part of the requirements to go to the open day was to put down 2 courses. So I thought I had to look through the list of courses, and I thought, oh, advertising and digital marketing. I've never even heard of that. Didn't even know that was a thing. I'd never really studied it prior. I mean, in my language exam, we had to study advertisements, but it wasn't quite the same as marketing. So I went along and we had our lovely lecturer, Cardi. She was the presenter. We were in a nice little room. There was about 15 of us. Told her my name, and she remembered my name for the whole 2 hours that we were there. And it just felt right. I think this for anyone listening that isn't quite sure of where to study or what to study, I definitely recommend going and having a look around different campuses, because
definitely.
you definitely get a feel for the right one. You just know, it's a gut instinct. You know that is going to be the place. And you're at risk of, if you go down the road of, I'm just going to pick a uni that I know's got, good points on the league table, and you don't go there and actually suss it out, you could get there in September and think, what the bleep have I done? So definitely recommend going out and trying things, getting a flavour. It's a bit like dating, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. That's a good way of putting it. Sort of open days are a bit like dating, which one you want to spend the next 3 years of your life with.
Katie, what about you?
Yeah, so mine was a bit weird, really. So when I was sort of going through my GCSEs, I wanted to do physics. Now, that anyone who might know me, who hears me saying that, would probably laugh.
No, I
Because,
can see that.
no, I've always been that student that I was always in the lower sets, and I always got sort of like the lower grades. And I was always told by my teachers, like, you'll probably want to go to college, maybe get an apprenticeship, because you probably won't get the grades to get into uni. And I've been told that since middle school. So where I went, my education system, we didn't have like a primary and a secondary. We had a primary, middle, and a upper school. And so I've always just sort of been sort of like told that I can't really get good grades.
Oh.
I know, very supportive of my teachers.
Look
I did
at
have
you
I did have a
now.
few. I know. I did have a few really good teachers through some of my years. But I will say there was a few, and it wasn't necessarily in the many. I got all right GCSEs. They weren't terrible. They were definitely sort of like in the lower end. I got mostly C's in my GCSEs. But I remember when I was going through my GCSEs, I was studying so hard because I'd never really done very well. It was pretty obvious that I had to work like doubly than my friends who were obviously quite naturally clever, and they were all like meeting up in town and going out on weekends and seeing each other, and I would have to be like, sorry, I have to stay home and study. And that only sort of like, I only had to sort of like say that to them a few times, but I worked really hard for my GCSEs, and I still got like kind of okay grades. And then I didn't get the sciences I needed to go and to do physics at A level. And you know this, Billy, but I write music. It's just a hobby that I have. Like, I find it fun.
La, 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 la.
So I thought next, like, oh, maybe I should have a look at music. And because I didn't study music at GCSE, and because I didn't have a grade 5 or above in any instrument, I couldn't do it at A level, essentially. So I was just sort of like, I don't really know what I want to do. And I was like, I love performing arts. So I thought, I'm going to be an actress. And I had my heart set on this one course at University of York. And I said to my parents, I was like, let's go for an open day. Like, they had quite high entry requirements as well. So I think I was probably punching above my weight for my predicted grades and what I wanted to achieve. Yeah, so I went there and I thought it was really lovely, but I think my parents were sort of a bit hesitant for the fact that it was so far away from home. Like, they wanted me to be far enough that I was sort of like had my own freedom and had my like the opportunity to like live on my own and like learn to grow up, essentially, but wanted to be close enough that if I needed them, or if I needed to come home if I was sick or something, I could. Which I'm quite thankful that they sort of like drilled that into me. Then my dad was kind enough to let me have some work experience in his office with the marketing manager, and I ended up really enjoying it. And my parents were just like, well, why don't you look at marketing for university degrees? Because in my head I was like, I know I've been told that I won't get into uni, but I'm gonna try anyway.
Prove the haters wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So I went for an open day down in Portsmouth, which my brother went to Portsmouth, so it was kind of like almost like a safety blanket for me. That if I went to Portsmouth, he would be there.
And it's a nice area.
Yeah, it's a lovely area. And me and my brother were quite close, so I knew that he'd like look out for me if I needed it. But yeah, then we went to De Montfort University for an open day, and oh my gosh, it was like what you said, Billy. It was a huge lecture theatre with one woman standing at the front who was the course leader. And when she started talking about the course and going through the course content, even she looked bored about what she was talking about. And as soon as I walked out that room, I just looked at my parents and was like, I don't want to go here. Like, the lecturer looked bored about what she was on about.
That's what I mean when I was saying, like, you when you go to these open days, they're so important because you just know when you go and leave from that open day, you have that gut feeling of whether it's a yay or a nay. And the teachers have a very important role as well in deciding where to study. You should definitely try and find out who your lecturers are, and ideally meet them if you can, because they're the ones who are going to be inspiring you
Exactly.
and encouraging you to get good grades. And if like you say, they show disinterest in what they're doing, then how are you going to be interested?
Yeah, why would I want to study it?
What you need is a lecturer that has bloody pom-poms. Woo!
Oh, I love Grant.
Such a fun, inspiring lecturer.
He's such a great lecturer. But yeah, and then I went for an open day at Northampton University, and I can't remember what I put down as the other course for me to look at, but I think it clashed with going to the advertising and digital marketing talk anyway. So I just only went to the advertising and digital marketing one, which just kind of like worked out, I guess. And I went into the room. So you said there was about 15 of you. I think I went on a slightly quieter open day, because there was only 3 of us in the room on the talk that I had. And it was just a small room. And again, I had Cardi at the front of the room talking about the course. And I've never seen someone so passionate about their subject and so excited about their subject. And while I was sitting there, while she was talking, I was getting excited. And I think that's where like the stark difference was for me, was that the lecturer I'd seen at De Montfort University, who seemed bored of her own subject, and then suddenly there was Cardi, who was really, really sort of like invigorating for studying the subject. And even my parents, when we walked out the room, were just like, that was great. Like it was like she'd been practicing a pitch or something, but actually no, she was genuinely very excited. And as obviously we've got to know Cardi, we know she's genuinely passionate about what she does, and she's a fantastic lecturer for it. And then afterwards I went, and because we had like a little sort of like a coffee meet and greet thing after the course talk, and I went and spoke to Cardi, and she was giving me a lot more information, and she gave me her email address, and she was like, if you have any questions or if you need any help on anything, just let me know. And I think I sent her a couple of emails on the run up to sort of like handing in my personal statement on UCAS and everything. And I remember saying to her, sort of emailing her and being like, oh, is there anything that you think I should include? I really want to get a place at Northampton. And then I did get into Northampton. I got declined from Portsmouth, but I got into Northampton. And to be honest, it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't get the entry requirements, but I must have had a good personal statement, is all I can really say. But yeah, no,
I think passion shines through just as much as grades.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's sort of like, I don't know whether they looked at my social media, but part of what I did to try and sort of show my passion to get onto the course was, for months after I went to that open day, I started up my own blog. I started posting more on Twitter and Instagram, like trying to sort of like show a passion for doing like marketing and advertising, and sort of like getting on board with those medias.
And that's a good strategy for anyone listening who is considering studying marketing or advertising for university studies. If you haven't applied yet, or if you're applying or whatever, get started, get yourself an online presence, create your own personal brand of you. Just show that you're interested, get some work experience, even if it's voluntary experience counts just as much as paid experience. Just show that you're passionate.
Yeah, and with social media, it's something as easy as you have a Twitter account and you follow sort of like the main sort of marketing bodies, sort of simple things like the ASA, Campaign Magazine, Marketing Week, and you retweet what they tweet, or you comment on what they've tweeted, you read their articles. And that really shows...
Retweet.
Yeah, exactly. It really shows that you're interested in the subject and that you're looking at the sector and what other people are talking about in the sector. I followed lots of brands on social media. I remember on the open day, Cardi said something like one of the previous students hadn't gotten a job because their employer looked at their social media and decided that they were too boring for the role that they had applied for. And then obviously the student with that feedback had gone through and sort of like really worked on her social media to sort of like really bolster it up and show like that professional, exciting side of marketing. And I think that sort of really resonated with me, which is why I sort of went into like really going for it really on social media. And making sure that you're professional as well on social media is pretty important. But yeah.
Fab. So there it is. We've discussed our journeys up to undergraduate studies.
So one thing we wanted to talk about was why you should study marketing if you're thinking about it. So I know personally, a lot of people tend to think that marketing isn't necessarily trustworthy. And this was Billy's point that he raised about that, is that a lot of people look at advertisers, marketers, and think that they're trying to trick them all the time into buying products or services. And I don't, that's not necessarily true. I mean, it probably is in some cases, but when you study
in bad cases,
exactly, that's bad marketing. What you're taught at uni, or at least what we've been taught at Northampton Uni, is sort of like the value of marketing and why it is so good. Like, no business can really thrive without advertising what you've got, and that's just kind of a simple fact. Like, if people don't know that your brand exists, they're not gonna buy your products. Like, it's as simple as that. And
the thing is that marketing is not manipulation.
No, a lot of it is mostly just based on research.
It is,
and data.
Another thing that we need to distinguish that a lot of people probably won't know. I mean, I didn't really know this before I started uni, but marketing and sales are not the same thing either.
No.
You need to kind of think of marketing as a big umbrella term. Sales is one element of that umbrella, but you've also got things like advertising, that is another strand. You've got public relations, that is another strand. You've got sponsors, all kinds of things, direct marketing, mail, all kinds of communication.
Customer relationship management.
Exactly. There are so many different elements that are the building blocks of what forms a definition of marketing. And also, it's not about manipulating, it's about developing profitable exchange relationships with customers and consumers. Emphasis on the word exchange. There is a dialogue. It is not just brands forcing messages upon you. And as a marketing student, you're learning how to develop those relationships, how to effectively communicate a message. And they're skills that you can take with you as well for yourself. If you know how to market yourself, you can be more successful in getting a job. You know how to develop websites. You know how to, you know how to avoid being tricked yourself from bad marketing. And one of the heaviest things that is emphasised on our course here at the University of Northampton, I can't speak on other courses because we haven't been, but ethics is such a strong thing that we learn.
Definitely, especially in consumer behaviour, the consumer behaviour module. Shout out to Simon.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah, we definitely talk a lot about ethics, and not just in that module. We talk about it in every module. It comes into every module, especially issues in advertising practice, actually, that talk about ethics a lot in that module.
Yeah, so it's at the forefront of our minds constantly whilst we're studying. We're not being taught to purposely deceive people. That's not what marketing is. That's a very archaic attitude to have. I remember at the very beginning of the course we were taught a statistic that said something like only 3% of people trust advertising. I would like to think that that's changed now, because we're not here to deceive you, and that's not the purpose of this course. The purpose of this course is to learn how to be a good marketeer, how to develop brands, develop new products, conduct market research. There are so many different facets to this kind of course.
Exactly. And I think marketing is a lot about sort of like showing value. I mean, that is essentially what marketing is. It's highlighting the value of a product or service that might help you. So something like bank marketing, I mean, it's highlighting that product or service. It's showing the value, like banks showing their individual strengths for certain accounts that they offer. That's them highlighting the value and how it could help you. It doesn't resonate with everyone, but it will resonate with the people that it's applicable for. And the thing with targeted ads and things like that, if like that can be helpful, because obviously cookies or whatever has picked up, I mean, not necessarily cookies aren't always the best way to go around things, but sort of like those kind of targeted ads can work really well, because it can put things in front of you that you wouldn't have necessarily searched for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And also, because I help out with the open days myself now, so when prospective students come, one of the most common questions that I get asked is, and this is from both the students and the parents who are with them, is what are the career prospects for somebody that decided to study advertising or digital marketing or marketing in general? And, you know, we've both experienced it because we've been out in the industry. You're now working in the industry. Congratulations.
Yeah, I got hired by the university in marketing and international relations department in the digital engagement team. So I'm pretty chuffed with that, if I'm honest.
Yeah, basically my response to them is always the same. Marketing, it is a specialist subject, but it does not limit you to a very narrow career path. In fact, it actually opens up a plethora of different job opportunities, because as you mentioned earlier, regardless of a business size or the industry that it operates in, there will always need marketing.
The world is your oyster.
The world literally is your oyster when it comes to marketing. And and you can end up in fashion, you could end up in sports, you could even end up working for the chippy down the road. There are just limitless opportunities with studying a degree like this. You're really doing yourself a favour, and studying marketing is a very good way of investing in yourself, because even if at the end of the 3 years you think, maybe it's not for me, it doesn't really matter where you decide to work. Having a degree in marketing and showing that you can understand communication and are able to communicate to people are such valuable transferable skills to any kind of job.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even need to be a job in marketing that you go for. Just like, so even if you wanted to start a music career, like starting a music career, you need to know how to communicate with people that might be able to help you, or know how to advertise to an audience when you're just starting out. Like, it's a very helpful thing that could help with anything. And if you're starting your own business, or you plan to start your own business, even if you decide that you're going to start off in another sort of like part of that business, or you already have your own business, it's really good to have an understanding as to how marketing works. Because if you have a marketing team, and if you think, well, why aren't we doing this? Or why are we doing it this way when it would be so much better to do it this way? It gives you such a good overview and a good understanding as to how businesses can be run, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And another appeal to me for studying marketing was that I really enjoyed art, but I also really enjoyed business and the academic side of things. And so I don't know about you, but I've found that this course at the University of Northampton has the perfect blend of both hands-on practical experience. We have live client projects throughout every single stage of the course, but we also have a thorough,
Academic understanding of theory.
that's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
So we understand the theory, so we understand the why we do things. We're not just going at it willy-nilly, we understand the why. And also we can then put that knowledge into practice. And I found that a lot of courses that I looked for at open days for marketing, they were either theory and strategy, or they were hands-on graphic design, practical. I never found one that had a blend of both, whereas the one at University of Northampton definitely for me has had a blend of both.
Definitely.
And I've really found that valuable.
And I think that's something that's really good. Like, as I said before, sort of like the A levels that I studied English literature, drama, and fine art, and I think sort of having a creative mind, the course at Northampton is really good with being able to let you explore your creativity and let you sort of indulge yourself essentially with something that might have just ended up being a hobby. It can be a part of your work, but also it has a direction, it has a purpose. It's not like you're just doing it because you can. I mean, you can as well, but you do have a direction and a purpose, and it lets you sort of like get that creative side of you out and be able to explore it more and sort of explore your style more. I think that's personally what I found. Obviously, Billy, you are an artist as well.
Thank you. If you want to buy any of my paintings or drawings, they're available on billylittle.com. That's billylittle.com. And actually, that's a good example of something that we've done.
Subtle plug.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's a good example of something that we've done on the course. We've made our own websites. I would never have had my own website otherwise.
And it teaches the value of having your own website and sort of creating your own brand, whether you're planning on being a freelancer, starting your own business, or trying to get the attention of employers. It really does teach you that value as to why you need a website, or at least just the skills on learning how to make a website, which can be really good for many job types.
And also to learn like the principles of like graphic design and just how things should look, and the golden rule of thirds. I had no idea about any of these going forwards into marketing, which I kind of should have, considering I also did fine art at AS levels.
Yeah,
but I did drop it, so
But like you don't really get taught that stuff though. Even in I think in A levels and stuff, they kind of expect you to already know it, and you don't necessarily know where to look. Whereas at Northampton, it's sort of like they show you where to look, but you do learn yourself. I think that's what I like about Northampton is that it motivates you to learn for yourself. They'll show you where to do it, and they'll help you along the way, but they won't spoon feed you. They won't sort of like carry you through it, and that's a really good learning experience. And I think that's what our lecturer Ian is great for, with sort of like the graphic design elements. Like he has a plethora of knowledge about different graphic designs, photography, art, fashion. He loves it. And you can see that passion. Again, that's another lecturer who's so passionate about their subject and sort of relates it to marketing as well. And it just really shows through. And it makes, as a student, it makes you want to dive in head first and go for it.
Yeah. And I'm curious about how you'll answer this question that I have.
God.
For me... No. But for me, I felt like during my GCSEs and also somewhat during my A-levels, I had a lot of support with my studies. So if I ever wanted to know, where to go, what to do, I always kind of had that support of the teachers kind of lifting me up and getting me there. I found that I never really experienced independent study to the extent that we do at university. So for me, going to university and then realising that I am responsible for extra reading, finding content, looking at journal articles, finding ones that I think are going to be relevant, and also for assignments, the increased amount of independent study was a bit of a shock for me. And it was something that I hadn't really thought about prior to going to university. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to say that to scare anybody, because I think it's definitely been hugely beneficial to me, because independent study is really important. But that was quite a big shock to the system for me. I didn't find anything else very shocking to me. I found the jump from GCSEs to A levels was probably a lot harder than the jump from A levels to university. I'd say the only difficult thing that I found at the start of university was the amount of independent study that was required. I just wondered if you felt the same about that.
Well, see, I think I had quite a different experience. So obviously, as I said, like all my teachers have always kind of said that I'm not really gonna get into uni. I don't think I necessarily had that kind of support. I think most of my support with my studying or trying to sort of like get further, I guess, came from my family and came from my parents. I had a few really good teachers. I will say that not all of my teachers are bad. I had some really, really good teachers that wanted to help. And when you find those teachers that want to help you and are willing to put the time in for you to sort of help you along the way, because I'm quite a slow learner. I never really got things from the get-go. And I missed quite a lot of school and middle school as well. So a lot of those foundations I just didn't have. No, my parents sort of like sort out the extra tuition for me so that I could sort of like build on those foundations again for sort of like maths and English, like really simple things. And then when it came to A-levels, I mean, I had a journey in A-levels. I think the most...
I had a journey.
I think the most support I had from my teachers in A-levels was the deputy head of sixth form, or I can't remember what her title was, but she was really lovely. And so we're sort of like her little team, my English teachers. And I say English teachers because in my A-levels for English, I think I went through about 6 different English teachers for English literature.
Oh my gosh.
Because they were leaving and joining. And then at one point, my English literature teacher left the school and we had 4 different teachers for each separate subject of what we were studying for English. But all of those teachers were really like super supportive, and at the end of the day, they were really nice. And even if I got things wrong, they didn't make me feel bad for it.
Yeah.
They would like explain to me and help me. Whereas like, I mean, my art teacher used to send me home crying, just because he was so mean. And then my drama teacher, she just didn't like me. She made me play a slug once. Yeah, I know. We were doing sort of like an animal exercise where it's sort of like you embody the characteristics of an animal into you. And my friends were like, be a giraffe, be a puppy, like all these lovely things. And I kid you not, she looked me up and down and said, Katie, you can be a slug. And I was like, okay. And like, because I sort of like, at the time I was like, okay, that's quite bad. But I sort of like, I just took it on my back and I was like, yeah, all right, I'll do that. And I went for it. I went fully in for it. And I was kind of...
Always watching.
Always watching Mike Wazowski. And I was just kind of like, at that point, I think that's when it clicked, where I was just like, this teacher hates me and I don't know why. And I think that sort of like really demotivates you when your teacher, who was supposed to, you know, teach you and support you, doesn't want to do that.
Perhaps she likes slugs.
I don't know.
I mean, she could have asked you to be a dung beetle.
True.
But I mean, slugs pretty down there too.
Yeah. So like, as I said before, like I don't think I really got a whole lot of support from my teachers. My English teachers were fantastic. They were really passionate about helping me, and they were willing to sort of like stay after school with me and sort of put in that time. And I sort of like, I got a lot of confidence from them. Yeah. And mostly like my family were really supportive of me. But yeah, so I think I had a very different experience. Like anything that I wanted to learn, I had to sort of do myself essentially. I had to teach myself a lot of stuff because I didn't want to ask my teachers because I was worried about them putting me down.
So that was that probably worked out in your favour then for when you got to university because you're already used to independent study a little bit more.
Yeah, probably. It sounds like I've just told a bit of a sob story. Poor me. No, I have a great. I actually enjoy life now. It's all good.
Yeah, see, I did get a lot of good support from all of my teachers,
Mm.
apart from one who I'm not going to mention, but I am going to mention kind of anonymously. And if they're listening, which I'm sure they're probably not, but if they are, they know this is about them. One of my AS English language teachers decided to teach us the entire wrong syllabus and then leave on maternity leave.
I did actually have that in English. To be fair, in A level, I had the same thing. My English teacher taught us the wrong syllabus, which is why I went through about 6 different English teachers. But
And
yeah,
I
I
went
know
through
the
about
feeling.
6 different mental breakdowns.
Yeah. We must have
Yeah.
done pretty similar A levels if you did art as well.
I
And
did, yeah, I did
English.
fine art for my AS. Then for my A levels, I did 3 of them. I did history, English language, and drama. And my highest grade was in history. I got an A star. But psychology is kind of involved in what we do now, though, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I do think it. I do think it does. But yeah, no, I do agree with that. Like, there's a lot of psychology and sort of like consumer behavior and how that works and how brands interact.
Yes. How do consumers behave? What are their attitudes? What do they value? What is value? Is it quality? What is quality? Is it price? Is it
Quantity.
quantity? Is it, oh, I'm running out of ideas. Feel of a material? Is it the brand associated with the product or service? These are all kind of questions that we ask.
That's the thing. It's sort of like, what is value? Value is very subjective. It's
Mm.
subjective to what the individual wants.
Mm. And is it functional? So functional value? Is it emotional value? Is it social value?
Exactly.
These are all good questions that if you do a degree in advertising and digital marketing, you will understand a little bit more. Why people should consider doing a degree in marketing. Not to shun the idea, because it's actually the most fun subject. One of the most fun subjects I've ever learned, because I'm also a massive history geek and I love history. But
I think that's one of the things that really stood out about the course, though, is that it's fun. Advertising and digital marketing is the kind of course that if you dive in head first, you will enjoy it.
and you will reap lots of awards from it as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. If you show your engagement, then it will show. It will show. I think it's really simple things, sort of like being motivated to go to lectures every day because you enjoy the subject. And because you go to lectures every day, you understand it and you get good grades. It's really as simple as that.
And that's just reminded me of one more thing that I did want to mention about why you should do advertising or digital marketing or marketing in general or marketing management or consumer behavior or anything, market research, anything. Marketing is constantly changing. So the principles might remain the same, but the tools and techniques that are used will differ. So, for example, TikTok was not a thing at the start of our course, and now it's a massive thing. And it's something that students are learning about.
We had a solid, I think it was probably a solid 2 weeks where we covered meme culture and marketing through memes in
Yeah.
second year. That was great.
We've done radio, we've done out of home, digital out of home, TV, direct marketing, email, sponsorship, events, creating press releases.
There's so much. And the thing is that a lot of it that we've done, it's not just sort of been like, here's an assignment, do it. We taught you the theory. It's here's a live client who needs this thing doing for them. Work with them, figure out what they want, and create this press release or this campaign for them. And you're doing it in real time. You're doing it for real clients. And
Oh yeah,
I think
100%.
that's the amazing thing is that you're learning as you're doing practically, and it's not like you're just doing it on your laptop and sending it in as part of a submission. It's you're actually doing it for someone that if you get it wrong for the client, they won't be very happy about it. Like, it teaches you that skill of actually working for and with someone.
But you can do it in a safe environment when you've got support by your lecturers. So
Exactly.
if you do mess up, it can easily be repaired.
Yeah.
So you're not just thrown into it like create a communications campaign and then mess it up. Like there will be various stages where you go and get feedback and you can improve on things. For example, our final project in final year, our final project with a large car brand, we're guided, we're given, you know, constant formative feedback and formative assessment alongside summative assessment. So we're in a position where we're confident to go ahead and create a communications plan, to go and conduct a context analysis, you know?
We worked with quite a large agency in London as well, and they were really helpful at answering a lot of our questions as well. And we had guest lecturer Alan Fraser Rush, and he was brilliant. He because he's obviously worked in the industry quite a lot, and he's worked with previous students on our course as well to do similar projects. He's very good at advising and sort of like showing us the way, but not spoon feeding it to us.
Because he has that industry knowledge and experience.
Yeah, he's like, you put in the work, I'll tell you if that's good or not. And he tells it to you straight, which I think was like one of the good things I really liked about Alan.
It's important. We're not here to tiptoe around the tulips. This is an undergraduate degree, for goodness sake. Oh, I sounded so sassy then.
You did. You did sound very sassy.
This is a degree, for goodness sake.
But yeah, it's like working with such a large client like that. It really sort of puts in perspective why in the industry you need to put in the work, you need to put in the research, you need to create good pitch decks, and how you create good pitch decks, because either they're going to pick you or they're not, and either they're going to be unhappy or they're going to be happy with you. And
it's competitive.
Yeah, like with us, the agency that we were working with, they had their own pitch deck. And then on our course, we all had individual teams. We were all competing with each other for this pitch deck.
But that's what made it fun as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Because like you can talk to each other in your groups, and like me and Billy were in separate groups. Me, Billy, and Henry, all three of us were in separate groups, which I'm pretty sure the lecturers did on purpose, if I'm honest, because they know that we're like we work well together, and it was quite fun because like we could talk to each other about it. But there were certain things that we had to keep secret from each other because at the end of the day, we were each other's competition. But it wasn't like we were put against each other or anything. It was...
You were my arch nemesis.
Yeah, it wasn't like that at all. It was like we're still getting on and we can still like help each other where we can. But obviously there's certain parts where we couldn't talk about what we were doing. It was just fun. It was like friendly competition. So it didn't even feel like competition, did it? It was just...
No, not really. We were all in it together. We were all trying to be successful.
And help each other out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's probably one of the things that Northampton does well, is that it teaches you the skills to work in groups. And at the beginning, I always find at the beginning of group work, and sometimes during, you might resent being in a group. You might think, why have I been put with these people that I barely know? But by the end of it, when you finish that project, you understand why, and you know why. And it's that experience that you can take with you to working in a professional environment, because you know how to work with people and you know how to work with different personalities and different work ethics. My favourite group work that we did in second year. Yeah, was in second year with Debbie Clues. She's a fantastic lecturer.
And she's cool. She is cool.
She's really cool. She's really cool. She's the kind of lecturer you look at and you think, I want to be you.
She's like John Wick cool.
She is John Wick cool. That's a perfect way of putting it, actually. She's John Wick kind of cool. But yeah, so with Debbie Clues, and we worked with Emily, Jacob and Millie, and then obviously me and you as well. We worked together because we all knew that we all wanted to do well. And I think that's why we chose to all be in a group together.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I found worked well in final year as well. We all shared a common purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were kind of united behind that.
Oh, and we did work well together. I think sort of sometimes having that confidence in the group that we had to challenge each other and challenge the decisions that we made actually worked really well, rather than sort of almost having like a dictator in a group, and someone saying, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, and everyone else sort of nodding their heads and going along with it. No, we were fighting each other. We're not fighting, but we were challenging each other in a positive
Listen
way.
here, boy, I think you're wrong.
But yeah, like we were challenging each other in a positive way, and in the end it worked well for us, and we got a good grade and we had a good pitch, and by the end of it we were all like, well done guys, we did
We got a great
good.
grade, we got A stars.
Yeah, we did. I think part of the really good thing that at Northampton as well is that you get offered so many opportunities that aren't just to do with your course.
Placement fairs, all kinds of things, employability fairs.
And that's sort of like the university in general. That doesn't even begin to touch on what the lecturers give us as well. And it's sort of like there's the opportunity to go on the New York trip, which we did in our first year, didn't we, Billy? And that was
which
amazing.
was how I met you. It's how I became friends with you.
So the only reason me and Billy really sort of spoke in the first place is that we'd obviously been on the course with each other for about 6 months, probably at that point.
Yeah.
And
not even that really, because it was January.
And this was in first year, and Billy was our course representative in first year.
Whoop, whoop.
And I didn't know anyone else that was going on the New York trip, but I really wanted to go. So I messaged Billy and I was just like, is it okay if like we share a room together? And he was like, yeah, I'm sharing a room with Emily and Sophie. And I was like, oh, great. So like I suddenly had this group of people that I was sharing a room with and I was sort of going around New York with. And it was brilliant. And we made a lot of friends. We met a mature student who is still our friend now. And she was a really great sort of, not just contact, but friend to make on the New York trip. It really was a great experience. And
then we became friends still now.
So it was sort of, we got to look around different businesses and see how they operated. We were very lucky, the fact that these businesses had representatives coming in and speaking to us about their brands. Other than the New York trip, like the lecturers are always sending out, oh, there's this summer placement going on. And they send it to us and they're just like, just so you know, here's this opportunity. If you want to apply to it, you can. It's sort of like they're not telling you to, but they're just sort of putting
the opportunity is there.
The opportunity is
and
there.
The contacts that these lecturers have are so good. I mean, my first placement was through a lecturer. And it was just like, they're so helpful. And these are all things that you wouldn't get if you didn't go to university.
Yeah. And the thing is that the lecturers want you to do well. It's in their best interest, but also like they're quite human. I'm not sure if that's just a Northampton thing, but the lecturers at Northampton are very, very human and they want your individual personal success, and they will give you the lowdown on certain situations, even if it's the ugly truth. They'll tell you.
Which is exactly why I decided to come to this uni, because a lot of other places they were quite robotic. I felt they were quite robotic. Whereas here they've got personality. They're unique.
They care.
They're inspiring. I mean, I know it sounds like I'm absolutely brown-nosing here, but...
No, honestly, though, I completely agree. I think we were very lucky that we had fantastic lecturers. And they're so supportive, that they are brilliant, and they will do their best to help in any way that they can. And if they can't help, they'll tell you who you can ask.
100%.
Okay, so that's it for today, guys. So if you're thinking about studying advertising, or to be honest, if you're just thinking about studying in general, some of this information is probably helpful to you, because it talks about all kinds of things as to what you could look for. And as Billy said before, if you go to lots of open days and you find one that you sit there and you think, this is for me, that's when you sort of know that you found the right uni for you. But
it's
yeah,
a
Billy,
gut feeling.
Yeah.
Go for your gut.
Yeah. So Billy,
don't listen to the league tables. Go for your gut, because you're going to be there for a minimum of 3 years.
That's a really good point, actually, because I think a lot of my friends, at least, were looking at league tables and they were like, oh, this uni's like in this position, so I'm going to go there, or this is a Russell Group uni. Like, at the end of the day, that don't mean it's more about your individual experience. It's about what is important to you. Like, yeah, sure, you might get a really good experience from quite a prestigious and well-known university, but to be honest, I don't think I would want to have gone to any other uni than Northampton.
No, me neither.
I think that's for so many reasons, and I've made so many good friends. Like I've got you and Henry. I've got so many good friends just from coming to this uni.
Regardless of where you study, if you work hard, you reap the rewards.
Yeah.
You could go to the highest ranking university, not put any effort in and come out of a crap grade. Work hard, you reap the rewards. And that's just a general pointer in life, really, isn't it?
And I think one of the things that is really good to sort of like the mindset to go to uni with is that personally I was sort of like, I know I've always sort of been a bit reserved with the choices that I make. Like I always sort of overthink things and then don't go for it. And when I went to uni, I said to myself, I'm not going to say no to any opportunities that come my way. And for me, that was a brilliant mindset to have.
So I think the main things that I want to get across in this is don't discredit marketing by thinking that it's just learning to deceive people. It's not. It's also important to understand that marketing is not sales. Sales is a part of marketing. Marketing is a broader term. In terms of career prospects, you're not limiting yourself by studying a marketing degree. You're learning a specialist subject, but one that opens up opportunities to any industry and any business, large or small. With regards to going to university, it's every single decision is a personal decision. Don't go just because your parents want you to go somewhere. Don't go just because it looks good on the league tables. Go to the open days, get a feel, and go with your gut.
Yeah, no, those are some really good points, Billy. And to be honest, I completely agree. Like, don't say no to the opportunities that come your way. And at the end of the day, going to university is your choice to make. It's your future, and it should be about what you want to do. No one else can decide that for you. No one else can push you to do something that you don't want to do. Go for the subject that you want to do. And marketing, even though it was suggested by my parents, I ended up loving it. And to be honest, I would have rather not studied anything else. I love the subject and I've really enjoyed my degree. And I think that's probably something to do with like the people that I knew and the lecturers that I had. But yeah, definitely going for open. Oh, I know what I was going to say now. Going for open days is a really good opportunity. Obviously, it's slightly more difficult at the moment to go to open days, but I do know a lot of universities are offering virtual open days.
Yeah, Northampton's doing virtual open days. There's another one in August, which I will be in.
And so am I, actually. I'm also part of that open day because I also work for the uni now. And I think some universities are doing sort of limited numbers coming and looking around. So you can book places to do that as well. It's a really good way to get a feel for a uni and who will be teaching you, essentially. And I think it's a really good idea to get in touch with, even if you can't sort of like because of lockdown, go and visit the uni and see the lecturers face to face. It's a really good idea to find out who your lecturers might be for the subjects that you're exactly for the subject that you're looking at. And it's a really good idea to just send an email, like Billy said, just send an email and tell them who you are, that you're thinking of studying. Obviously you might not have been able to go to an open day, and they might even say something like have a call with us, have a video call, and we can talk about this a bit more. It's really about your decision and what you want to do, and yeah, go with your gut, because at the end of the day, if you feel like you'll be comfortable somewhere from the get-go and you feel like you'll enjoy it, it's probably true. So yeah, anyway, anyone listening to this podcast who might be thinking about going to uni or is applying for uni at the moment, we wish you the best of luck with your future. Anyone who was just tuning into this podcast because they felt like it, we hope you enjoyed it.
Do something your future self will thank you for.
But yeah, thank you for listening to this podcast this week. Make sure to tune in next week, and if you want to check out last week's episode, make sure you do that too. And we hope that you have a lovely day. Goodbye from me, Katie, and goodbye from Billy.
Bye.